I wiped out $60 billion in 1 week with a math equation that I knew was broken. I destroyed more wealth in 72 hours than most countries lose in natural disasters. And I was tweeting jokes while it happened. My name is Do Kwon, and in May 2022, I became responsible for one of the biggest financial disasters in human history. I convinced millions of people to trust an algorithmic stablecoin that I called the Holy Grail of DeFi. But I knew it had a fatal flaw that could destroy everything. When critics warned me on Twitter, I mocked them publicly, called them poor, and made jokes about their concerns. Then in 72 hours, my entire empire collapsed. Luna went from $120 to zero, and over 1 million people lost their life savings. The man who promised to revolutionize money ended up proving why you should never trust a 30-year-old with a god complex and an unstable algorithm. It started with what seemed like a brilliant idea: create a stablecoin that wasn't backed by real dollars, but maintained its value through pure mathematics and market forces. In 2018, I founded Terra with the mission to build the world's first algorithmic stablecoin, UST, paired with Luna, a volatile token that would absorb the price shocks. I genuinely believed I was creating the future of money, a decentralized dollar that no government could control. We raised hundreds of millions from top investors, built an entire ecosystem, and I became the face of algorithmic stablecoins. The first twist? Even from the beginning, I knew the system had a fundamental weakness. If too many people tried to exit at once, the death spiral could be unstoppable. But I convinced myself, and everyone else, that we were too big to fail. By 2021, Terra Luna had become a $60 billion ecosystem. UST was being used by millions of people. Luna was one of the top cryptocurrencies in the world, and I was being hailed as a visionary. We partnered with major protocols, built an entire DeFi ecosystem called Anchor that offered 20% returns on UST deposits. And I was traveling the world giving keynote speeches about the future of decentralized finance. I developed what I called an entertaining alter ego on Twitter, engaging in debates, making bold predictions, dismissing critics with arrogant tweets. The second twist? Those 20% returns on Anchor weren't sustainable. We were essentially paying old users with new user deposits, burning through our reserves to maintain the illusion of profitability. But the higher our token price went, the more invincible I felt. My Twitter presence became legendary in crypto circles. When people questioned UST's stability, I would tweet things like, "I don't debate the poor," and make jokes about their financial situations. When researchers published papers about algorithmic stablecoin risks, I dismissed them publicly. I was so confident in my creation that I saw criticism as entertainment, not genuine concern. I even made pegging jokes when UST briefly lost its dollar parity, treating multi-million-dollar market movements like a game. The third twist? While I was mocking critics on Twitter, I was secretly aware that our Luna Foundation guard only had about $3 billion in Bitcoin reserves to defend a $60 billion ecosystem. The math was simple. We were massively under-collateralized, but I kept telling everyone we were bulletproof. In early May 2022, everything that could go wrong started going wrong simultaneously. Large investors began withdrawing massive amounts from Anchor, putting pressure on UST. The Federal Reserve was raising interest rates, making our 20% yields look increasingly unsustainable. Then someone, possibly intentionally, began massive UST sell orders. That triggered our algorithmic defense mechanism. As UST lost its peg, the protocol started minting billions of new Luna tokens to try to restore balance. The fourth twist? This wasn't just bad timing or market manipulation. Internal documents later revealed that I knew our model was fundamentally flawed. We had run stress tests that showed exactly what would happen in a bank-run scenario, but I chose to ignore the results and keep growing anyway. May 9th, 2022, the day everything collapsed. UST lost its dollar peg, and our algorithmic mechanism went into overdrive, minting trillions of new Luna tokens to try to restore stability. But instead of fixing the problem, this hyperinflation destroyed Luna's value, making the situation worse. In just 72 hours, Luna went from $120 to practically worthless. UST, which was supposed to always equal $1, crashed to 10 cents. I watched $60 billion in market value disappear in real time. The fifth twist? Even as everything was collapsing, I initially tried to downplay the crisis on Twitter, claiming we would repeg soon. I was still making jokes, while millions of people were losing their life savings, because I genuinely couldn't accept that my perfect system was fundamentally broken. The human cost was devastating beyond anything I had imagined. Over 280,000 South Korean citizens alone were affected by the collapse. Families lost their retirement funds. Students lost college money. People had invested their entire savings in Luna, believing it was the future. There were reports of people taking their own lives after losing everything in the crash. I received thousands of messages from victims, teachers, nurses, construction workers, retirees, all telling me how I had destroyed their financial security. Support groups formed online, where people shared their stories of financial ruin. The sixth twist? Federal documents later alleged that over 1 million people may have been affected by Terra's collapse, making it potentially the largest single-victim financial fraud in crypto history. I had become responsible for more financial destruction than most natural disasters. As lawsuits piled up and criminal charges were filed, I went into hiding. Interpol issued a red notice for my arrest, and I became one of the most wanted fugitives in the world. For months, I evaded capture, while authorities in South Korea and the United States built fraud cases against me. I was spotted in various countries: Dubai, Singapore, Serbia, but always managed to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. During this time, I gave interviews admitting to posting on Twitter and apologizing for my arrogant tweets. But I still maintained that the collapse was due to market conditions, not fraud. The seventh twist? Even while running from the law, I was secretly planning to launch Terra 2.0, convinced that I could somehow rebuild what I had destroyed and restore my reputation. In March 2023, I was finally arrested in Montenegro, trying to board a flight with fake documents. After months of legal battles, I was extradited to the United States in January 2025. I eventually pleaded guilty to fraud charges, acknowledging a global fraud scheme that primarily affected investors in South Korea and New York. Standing in that courtroom, listening to victim impact statements, I finally understood the magnitude of what I had done. The Terra ecosystem collapse wiped out almost 45 billion in market cap and caused hundreds of billions in losses across the entire crypto market. The algorithm I thought would revolutionize finance instead became a cautionary tale about hubris, greed, and the danger of believing your own hype. I went from crypto visionary to convicted fraudster, and over 1 million people paid the price for my arrogance.